Well, good morning everyone and welcome to the Sabi Sands. As you can tell, we have got lucky, and this is a young male leopard that we've been watching for the last 3 days. He's busy finishing off the remains of a duiker kill, and he caught this duiker yesterday morning. He was already full-bellied from a baboon that he had been feeding on for 2 days prior to this, and only started feeding on this kill, as far as we are aware, yesterday afternoon. And there's not much left. He could well finish the rest of this kill in this sitting, and then possibly go off to drink afterwards. Anyway, in the meantime, we've got this incredible opportunity to watch him feeding in the tree. And what a drive it was last night. For those of you who weren't tuned in, sadly you missed out. We had some incredible action, mainly from Brent's vehicle. He really had an incredible drive. He had a beautiful big male lion roaring, walking right up to his vehicle, as well as seeing a mating pair of leopards. They didn't actually mate while Brent was watching them, but there is a chance that they will be around this morning, and Brent is looking for them. So great prospects, because imagine if we got to share leopards mating with you, and Brent is trying to establish where they are. Now, something interesting happened last night. It rained, and it's not the rainy season now. The rainy season is our summer, which is kind of at its peak over November, December and January. And sadly this year we didn't get much rain, not nearly as much as we usually get in this area, so it's very dry, and grateful that we got a little bit of rain last night. It only started at around 3:30 in the morning, and it was nothing too serious, but at least there was a small downpour. And as VM is showing you, you can see a few little droplets of water on the edge of this little guarri branch. So great for the vegetation that we got a little bit of rain, but it's going to make Brent's job a little bit more difficult following tracks. The rain may have washed away any sign of animals moving in a particular area. But on the same token, it will also mean that if Brent does find tracks now, he'll be able to establish that they are after the rain or before the rain. And that would obviously give him a much better indication of how fresh they are. It stopped raining at about 5 o'clock, so about an hour ago. And just thought I'd keep you updated on that. Now, I'm wondering if we can reposition slightly. He has been moving around, but our view is not very good from here, so it might be worth us trying to get another angle. I'm not convinced it's going to work, but we are going to give it a bash. Stations and updates on Kunyuma. He is on site off Twin Dams Road, finishing off the remains of this duiker kill. So like I said, I'm not sure how much better this is, but it is a tricky area to navigate through because we're on the edge of a riverbed. Copy, thanks Nikki. And I must say a huge thank you to all of you that sent through information regarding this leopard. There is a waterhole about a quarter of a mile away from where we are now, and there's actually a live camera that monitors that waterhole for 24 hours a day, and we actually followed him to the waterhole last night towards the end of drive and watched him drinking. And would you believe it that Nikki came through on the radio and said, "Scott, Brent's actually got not one but two leopards drinking, so sadly your one leopard drinking is going to be out-trumped." And that just shows how lucky we've been over the last few drives, and especially yesterday. So we did watch him drink at WildEarthTV Dam, and that was at around 7 o'clock last night, and he stayed there until 11:30 before he wandered back to the kill. So thanks so much for that information to all of you that sent through, because it really is interesting to know these little bits of information to get a better understanding of these animals' habits. And that waterhole camera certainly helps us with not only that, but also helps us to find these animals very often from your updates. Well, with a small kill like this, it's a fully grown antelope, the duiker, but they're not very big, probably around 5 or 6 kilograms in weight. Possibly a little bit more than that, and I'm actually not sure of the exact weight. So I'm a bit rusty on the weight of a duiker, but I'm sure some of you are going to double check that, and feel free to send the information through to Nikki. Go ahead. Good morning. There was tracks of 2 Mafazi and Gala around quarantine. Brent has followed up there but hasn't had any luck. The tracks were before the rain. And I'm with Kunyuma. He is on site feeding on the remains of this bamba. There's probably about 10% left. Copy. Have a good morning. So, apologies, but it's important to keep all of the vehicles updated on the radio network, and there are a multitude of other vehicles also exploring this area with us, and we all share information, which is critical for us to increase the amount of sightings we have and make sure we all check different areas, because it is a very large space that we are exploring here, and the radio is critical for us to be able to do that properly. Now, as I was saying, this duiker that he's feeding on is a small antelope, and you'll notice the crunching. He will be able to consume probably this entire carcass, even the skull and the leg bones, because it is small enough for him to crunch through with his jaws. And you can probably hear the crunching. So very little will go to waste, and whatever little bits do drop down, I'm sure a hyena will sniff out this carcass and come and try and steal the little tidbits that do drop down to the ground. It's interesting, sometimes hyena find the kills and sometimes they don't, so it looks like right now he has got a hyena-free scenario, which certainly makes life easier for the leopard, but in the same breath there could well be a hyena just out of our visual, waiting below the tree. We've just got a question through from Tess in Ohio. Good morning, Tess, and welcome. Tess is interested to know whether the rain that we had last night will change the movements of various animals. And I don't think last night we got enough rain to influence the movements of animals. If it rains strong enough in certain areas and therefore affects the vegetation and therefore food for herbivores, animals may move from one area to another in source of food, and that is typically what drives animals to move large areas in search of food. So unless the rain had significant effect on the actual vegetation, it wouldn't likely cause the animals to move. And we did get a very small amount last night, so I don't think we'll be noticing any large changes. But time will tell, and hopefully there will be an influx of wildebeest and zebra onto our property, but there's nothing to guarantee that. And a lot of the wildebeest and zebra that were around during our summer rains have now moved off to other areas. So there certainly are seasonal movements of the various animals, but it's mainly the herbivores. About some scenes that were captured last night at the waterhole camera. And thanks so much for sending this through, Diane. Diane mentioned that there were hyena around the dam, but luckily for this leopard, they were too far away from this kill, and maybe the wind was not blowing in the favorable direction for them to smell the carcass, and therefore they left Kunyuma alone. Now, even though he is up a tree now, and the kill is safe there from hyena, they cannot climb up the tree, and very few of the leopard's competition or other predators can climb nearly as well as it. Lion may try to, but are not very skilled at climbing. So he is entirely safe up there, but what does happen from time to time is while they are feeding, they may drop a portion of the kill, or potentially the whole kill. And if a hyena is waiting below, that would mean that they would lose the kill. Not always. A very large male leopard may be able to ward off hyena and chase them away, but he is not quite there yet. And it was actually just 2 days ago that Brent had an incredible sighting of the same leopard trying to chase off a hyena. He tried on 2 attempts, and on both attempts he ended up putting his tail between his legs and running off. So that specific hyena was dominant over the leopard, and this specific excuse me. It's difficult to see because it is very thick, but you may notice how he uses the teeth towards the back of his mouth for the chewing, and it's not the long canines that he uses for feeding so much. That's more for catching and suffocating prey when they do catch them. can sometimes be more difficult for them to go down than it is for them to go up. But I personally haven't. I'm guessing it could well have happened from time to time. But they are incredibly agile and will climb trees from as young as 2 months of age. They'll start to clamber up trees, and even from 3 months, when they start feeding on kills, they'll be climbing up trees. And it's essential for them to be able to climb up trees from this young age, because so often at the kills are hyena and also other predators like lion. So if they can't climb, they will be killed, and therefore nature ensures that only the best tree climbing leopards survive. Aubrey, morning. You're more than welcome to join me here. There's a decent visual of him up the tree now, just finishing off this bumper. What I'm going to do is, because I know there's another vehicle approaching, and he's not too far away, I am going to just squeeze forward a little bit. That way it'll give us a different angle and perspective, and it'll also just make sure that there'll be enough space for Aubrey to also get a view. So just to keep you updated on Brent, on the other vehicle, he hasn't had any luck yet finding tracks of the mating pair. But one thing I can tell you is that when Brent has a plan in mind, he will stick to it until he finishes with his goal in mind. So you got nothing to worry about. He is searching thoroughly for the mating leopard, and wouldn't it be wonderful if he found them? I don't know the female leopard very well, and we've actually never seen her on this property. That's not to say she hasn't been here before, but she typically does spend more time further to the south of us, I'm told. But the male that she was seen with was actually this leopard's father in all likelihood, a beautiful big male leopard called Mvula. We've just got a question through from Louise on Twitter. Good morning, Louise, and welcome. Louise is interested to know, how soon will it be before he makes his next kill? And it's great that you've asked that question, because I've got a very fresh story that pops to mind that will give you an idea. Oh, you just dropped a little piece. I'm just going to listen carefully, because if there was a hyena down below the tree, and there's quite a steep bank that we can't see down, we could well have heard some rustling then. So, judging by that, it doesn't appear that there is a hyena on site. But back to Louise's question. It was yesterday morning that, or probably late 2 nights ago, that the same leopard finished off a baboon kill that he had been feeding on. He fed on it for 2 days, and even though his stomach was full and he was simply moving out of that area, he came across this duiker first thing yesterday morning and managed to catch it. So it had a full belly and still took that opportunity to catch another prey. And leopards will do this, and so will most predators. Any opportunity that they get to acquire food, they will take, because there will be some periods where they may go for days, even a week, without food. Good question though, but they will even in some situations have one tree up a kill, just like this, and they might head off to water just as he did last night, and on their way to drink they could come across another prey item, kill it, put it up another tree, and then have 2 different kills in 2 different trees at the same time. So they will kill as much as they can when they can. We've just got a question through from Riley. Morning, Riley, and welcome. I guess Riley's question has stemmed from the fact that there was a mating pair of leopards seen last night, and that's exactly what Brent is looking for this morning. And Riley's interested to know, when will it be this leopard's chance to mate? How old will he be? When in all likelihood would it start? It fluctuates greatly depending on the individual leopard and how lucky it is in acquiring its territory, and also how quickly it matures. Just like humans, animals also mature at slightly different stages. So it's hard to pinpoint it, but anywhere from 5 years of age would be a likely age. So another 3 years for him before he is likely to mate, but he may well try his luck before then, or he may be chased from one territory to the next, unable to acquire his own for longer than that. So we'll just have to monitor him closely and hope that he doesn't leave this property, which he in all likelihood will. But he could well head to other reserves within the Sabi Sands, and it's incredible how closely monitored these leopards are throughout their lives. And a lot of them even have Facebook pages, so if you log on to the different leopards' Facebook pages, not only in this reserve but in different reserves across Africa, you can get some really interesting insights into their lives and information such as this Riley, when he will mate for his first time. That may be revealed in probably 3 years, I'm guessing. Well, Nikki's just let me know that there's a lot of viewers that are showing concern as to the leopard's well-being from last night. And just to recap for those of you who weren't watching last night, Brent's had a great sighting of 2 leopards that were seen mating, but sadly not while Brent was broadcasting with them. And this mating pair of leopards were in a certain area that 2 lioness moved into and came very close to the leopards, and at that point the vehicles in the sighting decided to leave so that they would not interfere with the sighting in any way. Now, at night with the spotlights, obviously if you illuminate one animal you may make it easier for the other animal that's approaching from the shadows to see, And also, probably more importantly than that, is if you're driving around, you may muffle the approach of one predator moving towards another, and it was the lions that were moving towards the leopard. So if the leopard were lying there and the vehicles were driving up to them, they wouldn't hear the footsteps of the lion, and it could therefore be ambushed. And that is why Brent and the other ranger in the situation decided to extract themselves and let nature take its course. Now, those two leopards were both fully grown adults and would have come across lion on countless occurrences, and I'd find it highly unlikely that they would have got themselves into any trouble. They would have spent their life from little cubs up till now evading lions and leopards, lions and hyena. So the chance of them being harmed last night is very, very slim, and I'm confident that they have got nothing to worry about. That's not to say, of course, occasionally leopards do get caught out and will be killed by lion, and it's very easy for even a single lion to kill a leopard. They're far larger than them, and when there's two lion or more, it can be a completely unfair match. So occasionally it does happen, but it's very rare, and especially with adult leopards. It's more common with young and inexperienced cubs. Allow Aubrey to try and get his guests a good visual of this leopard. And some of you might remember, it was just a few days ago that Aubrey saved us by finding a leopard. We were quite desperate to find one, and he tracked and found one and then shared his sighting with us. So it's kind of payback time for him, and it's an important sharing process that needs to happen out here. The other good news is that I'm thinking that in all likelihood, once he does finish his kill, which I think he's very close to doing, as you can see, there was just a tiny bit of the kill that he was feeding on, he could well head back to Vuyatela Dam, and when he gets to that dam, we could see him drinking. So there's no point in forcing the issue with more of a sighting now, but we will wait and see. Let me just see what Brent's up to, and maybe we can get an update on how his tracking's going and if he's had any luck with the mating pair. Nikki, is Brent ready for an update? So, like I said, just to reiterate, we are going to stay in this area and see if we can't get another gap to see him, but there are a lot of other vehicles that are interested in coming and seeing him, so we're going to kind of hang back, let people come and have a quick look, and maybe go and look for something else in the meantime. And if we do get an update that he's heading towards the dam, we'll sneak back in. So, Brent is ready to give you an update. He's been on and off the vehicle, so it sounds like he's back on the vehicle and can give you an update as to how the tracks are going. In the meantime, I'm going to drive around and see what else we can find. Okay, well, Brent's just bumped into some other rangers that he's busy sharing information with. So as soon as he's done with that, we'll be able to get an update from him. Now, which way to head? Let's go and see what's happening at the dam. The stations I'm leaving, Aubrey, unlocked with Kunyuma. There is a very, very small amount of the kill remaining, if any, and he is currently at the bottom, in the drainage line, bottom of the tree, feeding on the leftovers. I think Craig's making as well as a second. Just got a question from Mike in Richards Bay. Good morning, Mike. And for those of you who don't know where Richards Bay is, it's a coastal town about midway up the east coast of South Africa, north of the biggest city, I would say, is Durban, closest to Richards Bay. And that's close to where I'm from, so that's why I've got a bit more of a smile on my face than usual. And Mike is interested to know whether leopards will consume grass in order to help induce vomiting of fur balls, just like a domestic cat would. And they certainly do. Lion and leopard will perform this, so no difference there. It wasn't long ago that we did see, I can't remember if it was this leopard or his brother, but I'm certain it was one of the two of them, and we did see him having a salad one morning, and he really did consume a lot of grass that morning, which is always funny to watch, because you don't typically expect to see an apex predator like that munching down on grass, but it does happen. So for those of you who are new to the Safari Live experience, this is the waterhole where there's a live camera 24 hours a day, so there's some great footage that is captured off this waterhole camera. And also, if you are a newcomer, welcome, and it's so good to have you with us. You would have noticed that people are sending through questions, and on those, and to do that, you would send questions through on email to questions@WildEarthTV, or on Twitter you would hashtag Safari Live. Now, at first glance, it doesn't appear like there's anything around the dam, one or two little birds, but on closer inspection, inside the water, there's quite a lot of movement. Now, it's going to be difficult for VM to pick which spot because the swirls are coming from all around, but there's a lot of catfish which are swirling around, and interestingly enough, oh, there we go. And interestingly enough, last night while we were watching Kunyuma, the leopard that we've just left drink at this dam, the catfish were very close to the water's edge, and they were rising just as they are now, and he was keeping a beady eye on them, intrigued by whatever it was, the movement under the water very close to him. I'm sure if he was hungry enough, he may well have tried to pounce on one, and leopards are known to feed on fish, especially as ponds dry up, as they do as we go into winter during our dry season. And it's something important about leopards to understand, is that they are highly, highly opportunistic, and they are a very widespread predator through Africa. And the more diverse and widespread an animal is, it can often mean that they're very adaptable to the various environments that they may live in. So it's incredible to watch how leopards can feed on different things in different areas and make a plan to survive. So they've got a very wide diet and will take any opportunity they can to feed on a variety of different prey species. Okay, so it sounds like Brent has finished his discussion with the guides, and I'm sure you're all very interested to hear an update on how he's going with the tracking down of this mating pair of leopards. See you later.
Good morning. Happy Easter. I'm Brent and I've got Jason, or better known as Romeo, on camera with me this morning. Just an update from last night. We're following up on that position we were last in, where we had the two lionesses moving towards the two leopard. The tracks of the two lionesses have gone west, so we stopped following them. The leopard tracks are a bit confusing at the moment, because if the lions did, just hang on a second, I need to turn that down. There's been a lot of tracks in and out the area, and also if they got chased by those lions, they could have literally gone in any direction. So, and it rained a bit last night, so it's quite difficult to figure out which tracks are from before. So we're busy trying to figure that out now. We have got tracks, and you can actually see where they've been mating in the riverbed, but I'm not sure whether that is from before we found them last night or from after we left them, because there's tracks going in every which direction. So we're just going to keep on here and hopefully find some stuff that's on top of the rain. But hopefully our luck holds. Sorry, next guy again. Scott coming. Scott. Good morning, Brenda from Pennsylvania. Brenda would like to know that because Kwatila has now mated with Mvula on Djuma, is there a possibility she would make this her territory? There's always a possibility, Brenda, but it's highly unlikely. Leopard females do move well out of territory to mate, so it's unlikely. As soon as she's finished mating, she's more than likely to head straight back to her core territory. Andrew coming. Lex coming. Lex, sorry to disturb, but if it is possible, could you ask Andrew whether, when he found that pair of Ingwe last night, were they in the Mulwati at all? Go ahead. Copy, thank you very much. Okay, well that's a nice little tidbit of information. So those tracks we found in the riverbed are from after we left them last night. So they made their way back down here after possibly having not an altercation, but who knows what happened with the lions. But they would have moved away once they realized the lions were around, and it looks like they came back into this area and down into the drainage line. So that's very good news. So I'm going to go back to those tracks and have a little walk around just to get a general direction so we can plan where we're going to go next. Just want to double check on the road here, make sure they didn't come out or that they're just still very close by. So one of the best ways to find mating leopards is when you're in the right area, you just listen. They're quite noisy when they fornicate. I've even heard described as a jumbo jet warming up. Will move out of territory because the male might not be in her territory and might not come into her territory for a week or 2 weeks, and she might miss her estrus cycle. And also what she'll do is mate with any male leopard that might possibly come into her territory. Once she has finished mating, she will go back to her territory. Good morning, Maggie. Maggie would like to know whether when a leopard mates, do they get knotted like a dog? No, Maggie, they don't. It would be quite dangerous for them to be knotted. What happens is they will mate generally about every 15 minutes for 4 or 5 days. One little adaptation that cats have to try ensure insemination. Most cats, they have a barbed penis, so while they are in the process of mating, that hooks in and tries to ensure insemination, but they do not knot like dogs. Thought I saw a track up ahead. There's one there. To the south. One of the reasons we're going so slowly is so we can listen, because they are quite noisy, as I said earlier. So the last tracks went to the east of us, and I'm hoping that maybe they loop back down into the drainage line. So I'm going to do a loop around this area, and if there are no tracks coming out, then I'll probably go have a walk into the bush where I had last tracks. mating. As I said, it's been compared to a jumbo jet starting up, amongst other things. I'm going to try do a impersonation. It's probably not going to be the best though. Well, I need a sip of water before this. Oh, watch the antenna. Okay. Oh no, I don't know if I want to do this early in the morning. I don't think that was the best mating impression, but it's somewhere along those lines. Lots of noise, lots of growling and snarling and I think Romeo should give it a try next.
The problem is I've never actually heard it before, so I've just been lying.
Check in. There we go, that's what you get for being a chicken, a nice wet branch to wake you up. So you guys can't find it happening, but the rain last night, all the branches are quite wet, so it's quite fun to do stuff like that. Your cameraman, and make him wet. Just grab the branch, pull it, once you passed it, and you get the joy of seeing your cameraman wince. There's definitely a different feel to the bush after a little bit of rain. It wasn't much rain, but enough to sort of dampen the earth.
Okay, welcome back everyone, and it has been an irresistible temptation to come and help Brent with the mating pair of leopards. So we are approaching the area from the north. The animals were probably around a mile away from us when they were seen last night, and what we're going to do is we're going to drive down the riverbed where Brent did have some of their tracks. We are still quite a way off, but they may have moved this far. So we're going to get into the area, and just like Brent's been doing, stopping, listening, it can often be the best way or an easy way to find mating pairs of leopards, because as Brent kindly showed you, they make a noise, and I would have loved to see that, and the noise they make is quite loud, and we can potentially hear that and then move into the area. So it is one of the ways you can go about finding them, and especially in thick areas where you may be battling to find their tracks, listening can be the best option. So we're going to do the same thing. head into that area and try and get lucky. It's not very often that we have mating leopards, and it hasn't been something that I've been able to see since we've been here. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we got to share that with you? So we have joined forces, and that way obviously doubling our chance of finding them. Just to update you on Kunyuma, the male leopard we were viewing a little bit earlier, finishing off his Daika kill. He is currently lying up in some thick bush close to the kill, or the remains, the tiny bit of remains of the kill. And there's only space for one vehicle there, so we're letting the other vehicles go in and have a look. And like I say, such good prospects that I think is worth focusing on to try and find this mating pair. For those of you that have been following the show since the beginning of the production in November, you would have probably learned that I love driving down riverbeds, so it's also an excuse for me to come and drive through this riverbed. It's a magical place to explore, and it would be a wonderful setting to see leopards mating in, that's for certain. Another good thing about a riverbed is that it would be quite easy to see their tracks in the sand. So I'm confident if they did move here, we would quite easily be able to see that. Even though there was a little bit of rain last night, we'd probably still be able to see the remnants of their tracks if they were before the rain. And we would certainly be able to tell if they had moved through an area after the rain, which would mean we're hot on their heels, because the rain stopped at about 5:30, which was around an hour and a half ago. So those are, well, this is the situation that we're in, and it's not a bad situation to be in. Well, I've just been called up, and as soon as I heard Nikki asking Brent the question that somebody would like to hear what it sounds like when leopards vocalize, I asked Nikki to record it because I wanted to be able to see that as well. And now it's my turn to make that noise. So I guess I should switch off so that I can focus on the task at hand. But basically, when they do mate, it's a very short copulation, maybe about 2 or 3 seconds. And as the male pulls out from the mating, it's painful for both him and her. His penis is kind of harpooned in a sense, so understandably it is therefore painful for both of them, and they tend to have a bit of a squabble and will even sometimes hit one another, and the sound goes something like this. Would be my impersonation of that, and it's a short but brief growl that they let off as soon as they are finished mating. So it's a brief vocalization. And apparently I was very calm compared to Brent, but maybe he's been watching different leopards mating than I've been watching. Either that or I've got to practice my leopard mating call. Now I can see somebody has already driven through this riverbed this morning, which obviously means it's less probable that we are going to find some interesting sign here because somebody's already checked. But we'll continue with our game plan. Maybe they missed something, or maybe the leopards are moving and they're moving towards us. Now, I think important to remember is that you can drive down one road and do a lap and drive it again 10 minutes later and find completely different sightings to your initial journey there. So things do change, and it is worth double checking, especially when there's something as exciting as mating leopards to see. Just got a question through from Sharon in Florida. Good morning, Sharon, and welcome. Sharon's interested to know the feeding habits of leopards when they're mating. And it's a good question. What is often said about leopards mating, and even lion, is that they will not focus on feeding when they are mating, and they'll focus simply on mating for that 3 to 5 day period. And in my experience, that usually is the case. But with both species, lion and leopard, I have seen males and females sharing kills that they have made whilst mating. I guess, just like normal for predators, if there is an opportunity, they will take it. But they are less inclined to go out looking for prey when they're mating. But if an easy opportunity arises, they will make the most of it. So they could well have a kill, but in my history, they more often than not just focus on the mating. I'm hoping to find a troop of monkeys. There are 2 different troops that live along this riverbed, and they're such wonderful animals to watch, especially in the morning. They can be quite playful at daybreak. Go ahead on Game Drive channel, Brent. Ah, yeah, the monkeys. I'm just going to reposition slightly. Or maybe we can actually just stay here. They appear to be moving about. Now, these are vervet monkeys, and just hold on for a second, I just need to chat to Brent. Go ahead, Brent. Sorry, Brent, copying you 0 out of 5. If you can just send the message to Nikki and she can relay it to me. Okay, coffee. Thank you. Shame. Brent's just had the misfortune of finding some drag marks. Now, drag marks are the term used to describe where a leopard may have dragged a kill across a road or any area where you can see the carcass dragging. And obviously so exciting to find the drag marks, but sadly they are dragged out of our property. So a little bit frustrating for Brent. Now I wonder if we go ahead we may get some better visuals of the rest of this troop. This current spot was making life very difficult for VM on camera. So let's see if we can't find a more open area. It appears that even though we were lucky enough to find the monkeys, they are sadly not in a position that makes it easy for us to view them, and we currently can't see any in this beautiful big jackalberry tree. Oh, there goes one, down to the right, VM. But oh no, it's not going to be easy. And it's heading off in the wrong direction, as you can see. That's a big male. Anyway, we shall continue. Now, whether the drag marks that Brent did find were from that mating pair, he's not able to tell. So it could well be another leopard and the mating pair could be elsewhere. So it doesn't mean that the mating pair have disappeared. That's not conclusive yet. Just got a question through from Deanna in Vegas. Morning, Deanna, and welcome. Deanna's interested to know when this riverbed actually flows, and over the months of November, December, and January, if the rainfall is heavy enough, this seasonal riverbed will flow with water. But this rainy season, because we didn't get too much rain, it was almost always drivable. So we wouldn't be out during the rains, and it was typically during the rains that it would flow. But we didn't have any trouble driving down this riverbed this rainy season, but that obviously depends on the year. Now another question from Terry in Ohio. Good morning, Terry. Terry's interested to know if I've ever been stuck in a riverbed, and I certainly have, in riverbeds that do get wetter, and possibly this one on a rainier season can be difficult, and often you are not forced but inclined to take chances in order to follow animals or see animals, and you can find yourself getting stuck. More often than not, though, it's not the riverbeds, but it's areas where there's a certain type of soil called black cotton soil that acts like a sponge, and it may look okay to drive on, but as soon as your wheels touch it, you start to sink in, and that's more often than not the place we do get stuck out here. And it's something that happens more often early in your guiding career. You tend to take more chances and are less wise to what the vehicles can do and also the certain areas that you actually can drive in. So when I started, I got stuck many times my first rainy season, but since then I like to say that I've progressively been getting stuck less and less. I'm just going to jump out so I can see Brent has already been here and had a look at the leopard tracks, but I would just like to have a look for myself so we've got an idea of what exactly is going on, and we can therefore make some assumptions as to what to do next. Well, sadly no majorly conclusive evidence here for us. I actually got caught out. There was somebody that was walking barefoot here, and it wasn't Mark the barefoot professor because he's on leave, and the front part of the human's barefoot track kind of resembled the toe prints of what could have been a leopard. So that was a bit of a false alarm. I'm just taking this opportunity to stop and listen, not necessarily only for the leopards, but also for any alarm calls of birds or monkeys that may help take us closer to where those leopards could be. Go ahead. Okay, copy, wonderful. If you can just ask him where on Drakensberg. We've got some great news coming through from Brent. Okay, copy, thanks. Would he like to give the exciting updates, and then I can also move into that area? Oh, that's not sounding good. What's the plan, Nikki? Okay, folks. Well, I'm gonna.
Go for it. Welcome back, guys. So we've been checking this last area, and while we were looking at some tracks on Cheetah Cutline, we actually heard the leopards mating. It was quite far from us, so we've now positioned ourselves in the area where we think the leopards are, and we're just standing by here to see if we can hear them again. And as you can see, there's a battle there. Actually two, there's one to the right as well. It's just hiding behind a bush, sitting on a dead tree. So not only are we listening for them mating, we're also listening in case they get spotted by any other animal out here. Okay guys, we heard them again. I've got a really good idea where they are now, so hang on. So we're going in here, even though I think it was a little bit further to the right. Coming. Did you get that last audio? Copy, I could hear you talking from where I was. I'm now to the east of Mamba, about 150 meters into the block from Drakensberger. I think this last audio was somewhere in this area. So I think the best thing, maybe just go stand by So with the other vehicles also looking for these leopards, we've got 3 different cars just yeah, I'm not driving, I'm in the block at the moment. Probably if you go to Mamba Junction with Chillicothe and then just head south, you'll see it. You can't miss it. It looks like quite a big animal that was dragged. Yeah, Orbs, there was a lot of tracks, and then while we were looking at the Nkonzo, we heard these Ingwe Fangapagati, so we came here. So as I was saying, we've got 3 vehicles in this area, positioned in different places. We're sort of in the middle, and there's someone to our right and to our left. We're all waiting for them to mate again. Or walk into us. Next, I'm just not going to take questions while we're trying to listen at the moment.